Yes, my name is Dr. Judy White, and I serve as superintendent of the Moreno Valley Unified School District. It's my pleasure to be here today to testify in firm support of the local control funding formula and the processes that have been established. Moreno Valley is the third largest school district in Riverside County, the 23rd largest in California, and we serve more than 34,000 students in grades TK through 12 at 40 schools. Our two largest student subgroups by ethnicity are Latino at 66% and African American at 13%. Nearly 22% of our students are English language learners, most of whom speak Spanish at home. Our third language is Arabic. Almost 82% of all of our children qualify for free or reduced price meals. We also educate close to 800 foster children and 4,000 homeless. Demographics like ours are typically considered tremendous barriers to student academic achievement. But what I would like the committee to know today is that through a combination of important, targeted efforts on our part and the financial support provided by the state of California through LCFF, our district and our students have made great measurable strides forward. This year, we received $296 million LCFF and approximately $56.7 million in supplemental concentration funding. As I listened to the group before, I'm here to testify on behalf of transparency and parental engagement. When our district received the 8 priorities for the state that the state had identified, we enthusiastically shared our evidence of transparency by engaging our parents and stakeholders. What we did is we actually hired a third-party person to come in, Innovate Ed, because we wanted to come to the table to develop the LCAP, and we wanted every voice to feel like they are going to be heard and not away from district staff. So in that first meeting for development, we had 75 stakeholders comprised of traditional reps from our DLAC, our APAC, our special ed, gay parents, school site council, PTA, but we also reached out to other parents in our community. I began with the list of parents who had called with concerns that things hadn't been working right during the 5 years that I have been a superintendent. So we engaged them as well. We included high school students, community members, faith-based community members, businesses, grade level leaders, and also our associations. And we sat down together with administrators and district staff to look at our needs assessment. Where are we and where are we trying to go? And then based on that, we created the LCAP alongside our strategic plan. So they were done in harmony together. And so then after we came up with the LCAP, we went through the process as required by the state to make sure that we sent out information from the draft to the community, that we had a hearing at the district office, that there were study sessions. But then after we developed this wonderful plan, I still noticed that there were members of our community that still did not know about it. I live in the community. I would ask people, have you heard of the district LCAP plan? Just trying to figure it out. And so what we did is we hired 14 parent ambassadors. I looked at the requirements of the state and the federal governments when they asked us to report on different demographic groups. So we did our traditional Black, white, Hispanic, English learners, but then we went deeper and we went to even parents who had students that were LGBT because they had struggles in our district. We went to our Arabic parents. We went to our Asian, and we hired parents who said that they had a connection to those groups. And that was part of the interview process. They had to say how they were connected, whether they were in the same faith-based organization or they had different ethnic clubs. And with those 14 parents, I told them, you will be the superintendent's ambassadors. We trained them about the LCAP. They were required 20 hours a month to go out into the community and give presentations, get sign-ups, and the parents that they talked to had to sign a commitment slip saying that they had heard about the LCAP. They were given a brochure about it that was distilled from the major plan, and they also talked about how they were going to get involved in their school. So that was 2 parts to it. Do you understand the plan? Do you understand the new services for students? And then also, will you be engaged? But we wanted to make sure that the parents' engagement would be according to what they could give. The working parents, sometimes they just wanted to be able to go online, or they wanted to be able to donate something to the school. Many of our parents were able to come and start volunteering in the schools, created parent clubs, and also parent centers. Additionally, we have a standing agenda item of LCAP on every board member. every board meeting, you have LCAP. I have to give an update on LCAP at every single board meeting. We have study sessions that are done annually. We have an end of the week news that has a section on LCAP for those parents who just want to read about it. But we engaged our students, and we've had ongoing student engagement. The California Endowment came down. They met our parents. They were amazed at the innovation that they had. Some of the parents went to Lowe's and asked could they meet with employees and then talk about the LCAP. They went to mental health and talked to social services workers about the LCAP. And so we've really worked on this transparency. The parents went to CSEA. The parents went to the Teachers Association and reported on LCAP. So California Endowment said we will give you money to double your ambassadors. So now we have 28 ambassadors in the community, and that is how we are getting the word out and getting parents engaged. There are regular town hall meetings, but there's also the telephone town hall meeting where we every quarter we call the homes of our families and we ask parents just to listen to the update on LCAP and also to engage in a dialogue. We have reached 14,000 homes. We tell them be ready at 6 o'clock on Thursday night, and they answer the phone and they stay online for the update. Some of them stay online for the entire time. But how many times have we had a meeting where you have 1,400 people end up at the end of an hour talking about LCAP? So these are some of the things that's happening there. So when we look at and I wanted to be able to talk about transparency, but I also want to talk about impact. So you can't do everything. So you have to do a few things well. One of the things in terms of our money, and we do track our money, we actually have a local code that you can put your money in an account and trace where it goes. So every district has that as a local, they can do that. So it's not that it's something that can't be done. But we put a lot of money into language, because even for our English learners and our low socioeconomic, all the research shows that vocabulary, language, reading is so important. So we've been able to pilot a few programs, Project Moving Forward, Imagine Learning, Read 180, and Systems 44, Language Power. And we're showing that with the Language Power English 3D program, the goal was to have 30% of the English learners who participated in the program to be reclassified. We are reporting after 1 year 46%. So we are looking at data on a daily basis. Other evidence of effectiveness has to do with money that we put into our counseling programs to reduce the ratio, and also to college. And we tested all of our 10th graders on the PSAT because the poverty rates are so high, and the SAT 11th graders, over 10,000 students were able to take those tests at the last administration, and we were able to put students in AP classes, expand all of our AVID classes. So I know that you wanted just to hear our opening, but we are the poster child for transparency and parent engagement. And we are serious about this work, and we so appreciate the opportunity to continue with the LCAP. And it's a matter of understanding that you have to have metrics that are achievable from a growth model, and to make sure that every student is moving forward. And that's how you get to the outcomes that the state seeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Quick question. Who is your assembly member? Is it Linder?
Medina.
Medina. Medina. Okay. And then what are the rough demographics of your district?
Of my district, okay, I opened up with the demographics, and we do have 34,000 students. We have 66% Latino, 13% African American, and we have 22% English learners. Foster youth, 800, and 4,000 homeless.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gordon?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and my name is Dave Gordon, and I serve as the Sacramento County Superintendent of Schools. I was previously the superintendent in the Elk Grove Unified School District here in Sacramento County. To give you a little background on our county, we have 240,000 K-12 students, 13 school districts. We're 33% white, 30% Hispanic, 13% Asian, 13% African American. 58% of our county's children receive free and reduced price meals, and 18.1% are students where English is their second language. We have districts that range from 63,000, the fifth largest district in California to one that has 244 students in a K-8 school district. So we do have a mix of actually some rural districts around here and very large districts. I just want to start off by making the point that our districts are really dealing with an enormous amount of change. It's just not the change in the finance system and having LCAPs to work with. We have a whole new set of content standards in reading and math, the Common Core. We're about to embark on implementing a completely new set of science standards. We have a completely new assessment system, the Smarter Balanced assessment system, which is computer-based, which districts have been putting in place. And we will soon have a completely new accountability system. So districts are really having to deal with a lot of change, but I can tell you that the movement toward a locally based, flexible system of allocating the funding has been very, very well received by the districts. They really appreciate the confidence in them and the flexibility, and things are not going to be perfect immediately, but I think over the last couple of years we have made some really good progress. In Sacramento County, in working with our districts, we view the LCAP system as an ongoing process where we work alongside our districts and give them advice and technical assistance and training and professional development with the idea that they improve their systems, the way they deliver services to children. Because there is no magic bullet, there's no magic project or gimmick that you can adopt which will make students learn more. It's a very, very deliberative process, and I think you'll see this with the high-functioning districts in California. They've been perfecting their systems over many, many years. They've had good, consistent leadership, and just to give you a notion of what that means, the heart of the matter really is improving the quality of teaching and learning classroom by classroom. And that means investing a lot in supporting and providing professional development for every teacher in the district, everyone delivering instruction to a child. That really is the heart of the matter. And a lot of our districts do fall short on being able to provide adequate professional development. It's something often that districts aren't used to budgeting for year in and year out. The high-performing districts never skimp on professional development, but often others are forced to do it when one-time money is available or not available. But that really is the heart of the matter. So our work with the districts is not just showing them how to fill out the form or how to develop the LCAP. This happens to be our LCAP. It's 87 pages. But it's the one-on-one technical assistance that's really focused on capacity building, continuous improvement, and technical assistance. And I will tell you, it's made a big difference just in the area of parent and community engagement. I see across the county there have been huge improvements in that process, district by district, across the whole county. Part of our role also is to help districts beef up areas where there are needs. And let me give you an example of that as well. On the first day of school, we always survey our districts, and one of the questions we ask them is, how many teachers are you short as you begin the school year? How many empty classrooms, unfilled classrooms do you have? And as I said, we have 13 districts. 11 of them were pretty much fine. They had a few vacancies here and there. But one of them had over 90 vacancies. Another one had over 60 vacancies. And that's a big problem, particularly in an environment where people are competing. There's a shortage of teachers. It's hard to find teachers. So one of the things we've been working to do is help them with their human resource systems so that they can be better able to compete for teachers, have teachers on the first day of school, and not be continually short of teachers and be in a position where you're having to use substitutes over and over and over and have a rotating crop of substitutes, because the idea is if you're shooting for much improved outcomes, how are you going to get there if the very basic need of having a teacher in every classroom is not met? That's a very important system. A couple of other examples: some districts may not have adequately functioning data systems. We're depending a lot on being able to get teachers data and information on how their students are doing so as to improve and redirect their instructions. We help our districts if they're having problems in that area. Or, as I mentioned earlier, if the professional development system is not what it should be. We work with districts on that as well. We also have focused a lot on helping our districts share and understand what their colleagues are doing so that they can learn from one another. For example, one of our districts, the San Juan Unified District, has a very sophisticated system for tracking the quality of implementation of the Common Core standards. So we've shared that with others of our districts, and many of them are adopting the same system. We also share best practices and try to help our districts implement programs that we know get results. And just to give you an example of that, the AVID program is a proven college readiness program which produces some phenomenal results. These are the results for AVID just in our capital region here. 99% of the AVID students graduate high school. 92% complete the A through G four-year college requirements. 91% plan to attend college. 61% to a four-year college. And the retention rate of AVID students once they go to college is higher than even the general population of students that go to college across the nation. And the AVID program targets students who are the first in their family to qualify for college. So as a result of some of the LCAP work, one of our major districts is now in the process of building a plan to implement AVID in their district. So let me talk for a minute about concerns with the LCAP system. One of the concerns is that we not slip back into the compliance orientation. And one of the worries is that as the rubric rolls out with its 8 priorities and 22 metrics and accounting for checking all the boxes, this metric, that metrics, it's really hard to focus on 22 priorities. It's not unimportant that we have 8 priorities, but there has to be a core set of priorities that in the early going we're really focused on, and I think that would be something worth taking a look at. Secondly, obviously the length of the LCAPs is a problem. I don't think they're all that indecipherable, but I think we can do a lot better, perhaps in doing things like taking the LCAP document but connecting it to information on a website which is easily accessible to parents and to the public. One thing I'd really like to emphasize is that we have worked hard to understand the concerns of the advocacy groups and have reached out to them to better understand their concerns about how information on the funding is deployed in the LCAPs. In Sacramento, we realized there were concerns. There were some letters written to our districts, so we invited the advocates in to meet with us, and we ended up in a partnership with them, and they participated as partners in several of our trainings to our school districts. And in the process, I think our districts got a much better idea of what their concerns and what their issues were, and we intend to continue that partnership. And this is with the public advocates that I'm talking about. So again, I guess my final message is, again, that change takes time. This is still a relatively new system, and it's improving each year. We're continuing to build upon and improve the process. Our districts are doing better every year, and I think what I'd close with is we have a couple of districts where there have been 6 or 7 superintendents in 8 or 9 or 10 years. the quality and consistency of leadership of our school districts makes all the difference in the world. And I think to the extent we can help and support our strong leaders and be patient with them as they implement this process, we'll be the better for it down the road, because I think we're on a very positive track with LCFF and LCAP.
Thank you. And lastly, we're pleased to hear a parent perspective.
Good morning.
Good morning. My
name is Leah Dara, and I'm a parent from Davis, California. First of all, thank you for including a parent voice in this panel. I really appreciate it. My children have attended schools in Davis continuously since the late 90s. I have my youngest in 6th grade, so I've been involved in my school district well before LCFF and during its implementation. So I have a pretty good picture of what's been going on. Through my work as a regional leader and statewide volunteer for the California State PTA, I've also been able to observe different schools in different districts and their approaches to the LCAP process in the last 3 years. I've seen some districts do a fantastic job of engaging parents, but I've also seen missed opportunities. Well-intended outreach that was unsuccessful and failed to get parents and stakeholders at meetings. Many LCAP meetings in my own district have been poorly attended or filled with the, quote, usual suspects, rather than a broad sample of the parents and stakeholder communities that we're trying to represent. Many parents do not understand their right to have input or their need for parent input. The terms LCAP and LCFF are not clear to parents what these meetings are for. Once informed and engaged, parents can give meaningful input to improve student outcomes. But I think there's a little bit of a gap still for many parents. One problem is that most LCAP plans in our current format are almost impossible for parents to read and interpret. I heard that spoke many times here on the panel. Districts need to better explain the LCAP process to their parents and stakeholder communities by reducing education jargon and acronyms and making the plans more readable and understandable to regular people. My own district LCAP is incredibly long, and I've read it, but I think I'm probably one of maybe 20 people in my district who have. Let's see. An executive summary or with infographics, like we've seen today, would be easier for regular people to understand, I think. School districts need to improve outreach to stakeholders in the most vulnerable groups the LCAP was designed to serve. In my experience as a PTA leader, I have found that parents and caregivers do have valuable information to contribute, but in many cases, they do not know how to do so effectively. I heard conversation about parent engagement, and I agree that that is a really key component. All the parents send their children to school because we do care about our children and want the best for them. I think that when we discuss things like an app, I think we need to be careful because parents need good information, good quality information. It needs to be understandable and relatable, but it can't be so quick that they don't get the depth of knowledge about what a school really provides to children. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for this? Ben? Mr. Chavez.
Thank you very much. I agree. It's great to have a parent here. You're with the PTA?
I am.
I was talking to the PTA last week, and they were saying that PTA is shrinking throughout the state of California. What do you think is there a role for the PTA with LCAP? And if so, how could we expand it?
Well, the nice thing about PTAs is that we're a natural on-campus group. I'm just a parent volunteer, but many of us, we get involved in our kids' schools. We start to know some of the staff and the administrator, and we get invited to district meetings. And so often we're people who are willing to kind of share. And even though I started as a parent for maybe my own kids' benefit, I started seeing that by reading at the school, by helping at the school, help more children. So sometimes you can use PTA meetings or PTA groups to definitely reach out to your wider community. And sort of the spider web of our community, Davis is small. I'm a PTA parent. I'm a soccer parent. I'm this group and that group. And so often we pull in people and share information. So a lot of parent groups on campus are kind of a good first place to disseminate information. And sometimes district newsletters and things like that go over the heads of a lot of parents. And I don't mean they can't read them, can't understand them, but just in their busy inbox of life, that gets kind of pushed to the back. So when there are things on their campus where your administrator comes and speaks and you talk about what's going on at the school, it is a good way to engage parents locally.
Thank you. From the superintendent, same question. Is there a role for the PTA with this LCAP? And if so, how could we engage them more? Anyone want to hit that?
I would just say that your PTA parents tend to be the ones that are most involved. And the role would be for them to understand the LCAP, to be able to explain it. But I feel that part of the LCAP was to reach the parents who do not participate. And that's why, while we had PTA representatives on our LCAP creation plan, we also reached out to the parents who sometimes thought there was not a role for them. So just for them to continue doing what they do well.
So is PTA
yes.
a thing of the past? It's not a thing of the future?
No, they are part of the present. I think they are a certain part of the present. They are just, it's diversity. You have your organized groups, and then you have your non-organized groups. But when you're talking about closing the gap and the true meaning of the LCAP, you have to expand it, but you never want to abandon something that's been working well as well.
I was just going to concur and also say, we have an extraordinary district-wide PTA where PTA presidents, vice presidents come together with me once a month. And so there are, a few hundred folks in a room. So I just think PTA is working in many districts. So again, I wouldn't want to abandon it, but I do think we have to have strategies for families who are not engaged in PTA. And I think we're really trying in districts across the state are really trying to find other ways to engage, whether that is through online or also face-to-face meetings, house meetings, engaging through third parties, organizers, bilingual liaisons, any way possible to help with families who are not as engaged as some of our PTA leaders.
Okay, and a real quick question, I know we're running out of time, is that on the state priorities, we had the 8 different areas and 24 different metrics. Just kind of thumbs up or thumbs down. Or thumbs up if you think is it too much? 8 different areas and 24 metrics. Could we tear that out and make it more responsive? It's
my opinion.
Too much?
My opinion that the 8 priorities are important, and that's where the local comes in. The local control, you have to see where are you already meeting some of those areas and focus on
so
where
you like the structure. You think it's 8 and 24 is about right?
Yes.
Sir?
I think there needs to be some priorities within the priorities in the early going. I think over time you can address the 8 priorities at a high level, but in the beginning I think there needs to be some priorities among the priorities.
You'd say they need some more work
to start with. Yes.
Try to get an answer.
And I think the bottom line is also an implementation. You're not going to do all these things all at once. What is the most high leverage strategy? And districts are going to focus their funding on that. Like for us, we did counseling as the first strategy, because there's no way to do it all well. And I would encourage around the outcome base to really hone what are the major outcomes rather than a dashboard of 24 things. Because again, what will end up happening is folks will diffuse to the point of not focusing. And so I think that's really important.
You're saying we probably need a little bit more work than the other.
Yeah, let me just elaborate on that a little bit, because I think that part of the problem with the individual priorities and metrics is it can lead you down a road of, well, let's have a project for this priority or a project for this metric.
Right.
And then you lose coherence in the way the system is operating. The system has to operate coherently, and that's always a challenge.
That was my thought when I saw this. I thought if you make everything a priority, you have nothing a priority. So I think,
but by providing 8 priority areas as parents trying to engage in the system, you don't really even know how things break down looking at the big picture of education. So giving us at least 8 priorities, maybe our district is doing great in this area, but there are at least these other 7 areas they could work on. So I would definitely say that some level of breaking down helps regular people understand what's going on in the system.
thank you very much. This was a great panel. Thank all of you for coming.